How far are we to push this? What about the Jahmiyyah? What about the Ismailis? Their intention is to glorify Allah by denying that He has any attributes, denying that He has any sifat. Do we accept that? Do we say, oh, because they have the correct intention and they say La ilaha illallah and they believe in the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, that we accept this? Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back. I'm JBrancatella, and in today's episode I will be dissecting a recent clip along with a slightly older one from Sheikh Haitham al-Haddad, in which I will be highlighting something that I think is extremely important about this man, this individual's Aqeedah, and why it's so problematic because of the fact that he has had an immense influence on the du'at from Speaker's Corner and the UK more broadly. And because of that, in my estimation, it shows in the fact that they are really extremely weak when it comes to Aqeedah, in terms of their understanding, in terms of their defense of it, in terms of their willingness to speak about it and willingness to call out the other deviant groups who profess or claim to be part of Ahl Sunnah and claim that they have the correct Aqeedah. We rarely see this from many of the English-speaking du'at. And people say, yeah, Jake, that's why we like them and we don't like you. Okay, go for it. Go and watch them. I really don't care. But the fact remains the same, that what I will show in this video will demonstrate why many of them have the positions that they do. They claim to be Salafi, they claim to be Athari, they claim to be Hanbali and Aqeedah, or these Ahl al-Hadith, or these different terminologies. But in actual fact, they really suffer from the same thing that we'll see Sheikh Haitham saying in this video. And I'm not going to put all of the 100% blame on him, but he's a large part of it because he has had an immense influence on them, whether we like it or not. Now, at the same time, I want people to understand, this is not a direct attack on him, and I want to drag him through the mud, and I want to say that this man has never done anything good for the ummah, and he's terrible, and he's this. No, that's not the claim. But I can maintain that, he may have done some good for the ummah, no doubt about it, no problem, while at the same time also stressing that I think he is severely misguided when it comes to this fundamental understanding of Aqeedah. So let's take a look at this recent clip.
Those people who believe in Istighatha, do they believe that they are worshipping someone beside Allah?
No.
Come on, man.
No, they don't.
A Muslim who's saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. Yeah? Okay. He doesn't worship someone beside Allah. If he believes that this is the best way to go to Allah, to get closer to Allah, to worship Allah by going to this saint, to that saint, and maybe, yes, some of the ignorant people, they do things that no one accepts in Islam. And we should have a uniformity in the true meaning of Aqeedah, the essence of Aqeedah. We never said that we will unify with those who do not believe that the Prophet ﷺ is the final prophet. Because this is what? This is a matter of Iman and Kufr. This is a true matter of what? Of Aqeedah.
So what's the implication of what he's saying? He's saying someone who makes Istighatha or calls upon the dead for help and to grant them children and all sorts of these things, although he didn't specify the requests. Someone who calls upon the dead for help from around the globe, he's implying that this is not a fundamental matter of Aqeedah. This is not the difference between Iman and Kufr. Well, of course it is. I'm sorry I have to inform you of this, and I'm sorry I have to say it in a stern manner. But of course, it is a fundamental matter of Aqeedah. The Quran and the Sunnah are very clear on this. The Salaf, the companions, they weren't calling upon the Prophet ﷺ after he died, or any of the later generations calling upon, from the righteous generations, calling upon the awliya and the so-called saints and asking of them all of these different requests, asking of them things that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give, and that it's his haqq, that it's his right to give. So Sheikh Haitham, I'm not saying he's going around doing Istighatha, but he's saying, look, the people who do it, they say La ilaha illallah. and they believe in the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and they don't believe in any prophets after the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So he says, so are they worshiping other than Allah? Well, yes. Somebody can still believe in the Shahada and profess the Shahada every day, while at the same time being so misguided that they fall into kufr by calling upon others besides Allah of the dead, things that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give. Now, it doesn't make it magically that stuff go away and make it all of a sudden it's no longer kufr just because they pronounce the Shahada and proclaim to be Muslim. This is such a severe form of irja that, I don't even know what to really say. It is amazing. It is not the understanding of the Salaf. It is not athari Salafi Aqeedah when it comes to what ibadah actually is. What is worship? Because what the Sheikh here is saying, the dear Sheikh is saying, is that so long as the person doesn't believe that they're worshiping other than Allah, then this is not ibadah for other than Allah. Where did you get this from? You're not getting it from Quran, from the Sunnah, or from the early scholars. Not at all. This is his own interpretation and understanding. And it lends credence to people like Daniel Haqiqatjou and others who are spreading such deviances. Oh yeah, we disagree with it. We think it's haram. But they're not worshiping other than Allah. Why? Because they don't say that they are. Well, guess what? The Christians, that the entailment, the lazim of your qawl, dear Sheikh, would mean that the Christians who worship Isa alayhi salam are not actually worshiping other than Allah. Why? Because they believe that He is Allah. And they are worshiping Him, and they think there's nothing wrong with it. Their intention is not to worship other than Allah. Their intention is to worship Allah. What about the pagan mushrikeen, Arabs of Quraysh at the time of the Prophet ﷺ? What did they say? Right? We seek a nearness with these intermediary divine beings. Why? To get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Not because they didn't believe in Allah, not because they simply rejected Him and they only wanted to direct their true worship and obedience to these semi-divine beings. No. But yet the Quran is very clear that the Quraysh, for the most part at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were mushrikeen. They were worshipping other than Allah. And it's not all of a sudden now, oh, they can become Muslim and take the Shahada and then still go down and bow and worship idols. No, of course. Now, the Sheikh wasn't saying all of these things necessarily, but it's the implication of what he's saying. That no, they're not worshiping other than Allah because they claim to be Muslim and they pronounce the Shahada. This is severely problematic. Severely problematic. And this was a recent clip. Now, let me show you guys another one here. This is from a couple years ago, but it is relevant to the discussion.
Now, those differences in matters of Aqeedah, yeah, which are, as I said, they are minor and they are few compared to what we agree on. Those differences, the motivation behind those differences is what?
Identical, probably.
Huh?
Identical. The motivation behind
the motivation. What?
I would assume that each individual is trying to do his best to know Allah.
Excellent. Excellent. This is, you are using this language as a revert. Okay?
Yeah, well, that's the only thing
good.
I am. So
yeah, which is very good. The point is, all these groups, they are trying, as you said, let me put it in another language, they are trying to glorify Allah.
Okay.
So, the Ash'aris, for example, when they, let us take the issue of ulu, highness of Allah. When the Ash'aris deny that Allah Jalla wa Ala is in the heavens, yeah, they say, how come Allah, the supreme being, the greatest, yeah, is located in one place? Impossible. So why they are denying so-called the ulu, that Allah Jalla wa Ala is above everything? Why are they denying it?
Because they think that Allah is supreme.
Exactly. Which means that they are denying it to what?
Because they love him. Well, not to love him, but
Yeah,
because they
because
glorify
they-
him.
to
Now,
glorify
use
him.
your words, yes.
To glorify him. So they believe that by limiting Allah in one place, yeah, this is a limitation of the Supreme Being.
So-
And therefore, let me just complete. Therefore, in order to glorify Allah, you have to what? To deny that He is limited in one place. Yeah? This is essential. So in reality, their aim is to what?
To glorify Allah.
In reality, their aim is to protect the Aqeedah,
Sorry, yes.
which is to glorify Allah.
Yeah.
Now, the
However-
other is, just
however-
a minute,
yeah.
just a minute, man,
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
take it easy. Right? The other is, when they say that, no, Allah Jalla wa Ala is above everything, in their mind and in the way they studied, we are glorifying Allah Jalla wa Ala by affirming that He is above everything. If He is the greatest and He is the supreme being, where is He? He has to be above us. وَهُوَ الْقَاهِرُ فَوْقَ عِبَادِهِ أَأَمِنْتُم مَّن فِي السَّمَاءِ. So He's above us. So in reality, are they limiting Allah in one place, or they want to establish that Allah is above everything and He is the supreme being? What do you think?
In essence, their intention is the same as to glorify Allah.
Excellent. So both the Salafis and the Salafis / Atharis, because some people deny that they call Salafis, whatever, Salafis / Atharis, and the Ash'aris, yeah, the main two groups now, their intention, yeah, or intentions is to what?
It's to glorify Allah.
Is to glorify Allah Jalla wa Ala. So
I get your
minute.
point.
Yeah, let me complete. Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Okay. So for the Atharis to call kufr upon the Ash'aris or misguidance, this is unjust. For the Atharis to say this about the Atharis, they are misguided like this, they are wrong. And for the Ash'aris to say about the Salafis or the Atharis that they are misguided, it is wrong.
So there is a summary, and this shows you kind of where he's at. He's going over the issue of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being above the throne, and the Ash'aris, not all of them, not some of the early ones didn't deny this, but especially the later Ash'aris, denying this and not affirming that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is haqiqatan, in reality, is above the throne. Now, he's trying to make this seem like, oh, this is just a minor Aqeedah issue, right? He said in the beginning, the differences between the Ash'aris and the Atharis are very few and they're very minor. Well, this is not true. Yes, we do agree with them on a lot of things, right? But nevertheless, at the same time, we do have several differences that are extremely important, and some of them do reach the level of bid'ah, deviance, or even at times kufr. And this is one of them, denying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in reality is above the throne, or saying that the Arabic Quran is makhluk, is created. And there are several others, right? But the point is that he goes on to say, merely because the intention of both parties, because they have good intentions, which is to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remove Him from deficiencies, right? All of these different things. And I'm not saying that in every case that the Ash'ari always has a bad intention. No, but how far are we to push this? What about the Jahmiyyah? What about the Ismailis? Their intention is to glorify Allah by denying that He has any attributes, denying that He has any sifat. Do we accept that? Do we say, because they have the correct intention and they say, La ilaha illallah, and they believe in the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, that we accept this? Not that we agree with them, but accept it in the sense of saying they are not deviants, or they do not have a deviant aqeedah, or their position is not kufr? No, we don't accept it in that manner. We still call it out no matter what their intention is. We say that the belief itself is bid'ah and sometimes even kufr. And if the person believes in it and affirms in it obstinately, not out of ignorance, right? Or some ta'wil or shubha that they don't really understand how to respond to something. No. After all of the shubhat have been removed from contentions and they understand the correct position and they are not ignorant, do we say, oh, no, he has the right intention, so it's no big deal? No. And this is the type of language, this is the type of rhetoric that is dangerous. These are the type of things that people like Daniel Haqiqatjou are spreading. And it is sort of, you can see it being exemplified in the English-speaking du'at in the UK, partly because of this man's influence upon them. If they had proper teachers that taught them the correct aqeedah, the correct way to look at these things, to not go to either of the extremes, but remain firm and principled, then they wouldn't be acting the way they are. We wouldn't see the complete absence of aqeedah from their discussions. We wouldn't see them never really calling out severe misguidance and deviance. We wouldn't see them promoting people like Daniel Haqiqatjou, and when he says these things, they double down on it and then don't take what they say back. We wouldn't see this. So it's really unfortunate. I'm not putting everything on Sheikh Haitham, but he does have a significant influence. And on this particular issue, he has influenced them in a wrong way. Now, they may have other influences. They may believe this independently of him as well, some of them. That may be true. But nevertheless, this needed to be called out. His position on ibadah, his position on how he sees these different groups is very problematic. Oh, just if you have the right intention, then it's no big deal, is basically how he's presenting it. Oh yeah, they're not worshiping other than Allah. Why? Because they don't believe they are. So what? The Christians don't believe they're worshiping other than Allah. Does that mean that they're not? Of course not. So we have to be very careful with these things. Once again, I want to say, this doesn't mean that this man has never done anything good for the ummah, right? I'm not saying that at all. But he needs to be corrected for these things because they are severely problematic. And I hope that this video will serve as a benefit for the audience, inshallah. That's my true intention. With that being said, guys, if you enjoyed this video and found it educational, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you get notified of future videos. Like, comment, let me know your thoughts. Share this on your social media platforms or with your friends and family, no matter how big or how small your reach is. It really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you want to go above and beyond and support my channel and the work that I do here and other places, then the best ways to do so are at the pinned links at the top of the description of this video, as well as in the comment section. With that being said, until next time, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.